lot easier. Yeah. Steve Lee makes his home in Cheyenne, Wyoming. He became an engineer in 1972 and held that position for 5 years before becoming a train master and road foreman for Rock Island. After Rock Island filed bankruptcy, Steve was hired by Union Pacific in 1980 as the Division General Road Foreman of Engines at Cheyenne, Wyoming. He took over the UP steam program in 1989. Steve recently retired after 22 years in this position and after 39 years of railroad service. Through his dedication and love of historical preservation, the UP's Heritage Program has a future that will continue to prosper. Steve and Jim love railroads and they love history. It doesn't get any better than that. Please join me in welcoming these very special guests, Steve Lee and Jim Burrell.
Thank you all. I want to thank the ladies for the invite. I hope I don't disappoint you. Talking about the progress you made on the building, I have to second that motion. The first time I saw it was in 1986 when we went through here with the A44 on our way to Topeka for the 125th anniversary of the state of Kansas. And it didn't look anything like it looks today. You've made remarkable progress with it. To be congratulated for that. We put together a slideshow to make it easy so you don't have to listen to me so much. In case you're wondering how many people it takes to do this, there you are. That's our road crew, shop crew, train crew, mini train crew. The mini train is parked there beside the full-size train. And it takes that many of us to keep that thing maintained and to handle it when it's on the road and to get it ready for its next trip. It's a very dedicated group. They're all Union Pacific employees. And I have not added up how much seniority there is there total, but it's got to be a couple hundred years. And that's just two of us. If you're wondering who's taking the program over now that I'm gone, that's Ed Dickens there beside me, and he is on my old job of manager train operating, or manager of steam operations. He'll be the engineer from here on out, and he'll be the guy that calls the shots on the program. It's in good hands, trust me. We have a number of crewmen that are no longer with us, sad to say. One on the left there, Lynn Nystrom, passed away about a year ago. And Reed Jackson over on the right, almost 2 years ago. They were both dedicated, hardworking, loved their jobs, and it showed. You can see the dedication involved there by the weather over there on the right. This is not necessarily a fair weather job. We call it a dinosaur farm, among other things. We can't do anything without drawings, like you guys can't work on your building without drawings. So that's inside our roundhouse. I don't know, how many of you have ever been to the Cheyenne roundhouse? Okay, you know there's 7 stalls of it left. It was renovated in 91 and 92, and we still use the building. We've got a caboose in there, we've got a couple of steam engines in there, we've got, well, whatever needs to be stored inside goes in there. So you can see what the inside of yours will look like. And we have the Model Railroad Club there too. We have railroads of all sizes. What he's looking up at, I have no idea. I don't know if there's a pigeon up there or what. That's out in Echo Canyon out in Utah. We've got both locomotives coupled together there, heading for rail fare out in Sacramento, California. Making plenty of steam and smoke and noise and disrupting the hell out of Interstate 84. That's Lynn Nice and Reed Jackson. Those are the two that are no longer with us. That statement up there is, there's a lot more truth to that than you would think. We probably spend more time with each other with our road trips and everything than we do with our own families. So we're kind of an extended family on our own.
They were great guys.
Thank you.
They were great guys.
We have to be able to get along. We're like any other dysfunctional family. We have our little problems here and there, our little personality conflicts, but we manage to get along. This was an event several years ago where we went down through Kansas and Oklahoma, and we hauled a bunch of wounded returned veterans from Iraq. We didn't tell them where they were going or what was going to happen to them. They were wounded, so they couldn't fight back. We put them on the train in Wichita, and we stopped at 6 or 7 different little towns down through there, and they had a celebration in each town. And they were really kind of blown away by that. I've never seen that many flags before. And you can see the American Legion band, the guys with the chrome helmets on over there. Every little town we went to had this same celebration for these folks. Obviously, that's plenty warm. Obviously, that's plenty cold. That looked like Cheyenne this morning. That's actually Marysville, Kansas. We were on our way back from the Super Bowl in 2004. We had gone to Houston to the Super Bowl. And when we came back, this is what greeted us. Needless to say, we were anxious to get home. We had 2 more days on the road after this. That's Lynn again. That's 2 Lyns, on the left and the right. Then on the right is the new boss of the whole organization. Then on the left was our engineer, fireman, souvenir guy, switchman, conductor, whatever needed to be done. From left to right, that's Charlie Isley, who is the executive vice president in charge of all this stuff. And of course, Ed Dickens, and then Darwin Brown. And if Darwin looks uncomfortable, that's because that's the first time he's ever had on a uniform.
Doesn't fit like it used to.
That was before the trip, my last trip in November of last year. That's inside the souvenir car. Behind the counter, there's Ed. Obviously, he has plenty of talents besides running a locomotive and looking at drawings. We do community displays and tours where we'll stop in town overnight, or sometimes just for a few hours, set up our tent, open up the train for tours, and invite people to come in and see a steam train. You guys have never asked us to do that, but I imagine that would be coming.
I second the motion.
That's, he's holding that like it's radioactive. You'd much rather have a real beer. There's the mini train. That's our little parade train that we have that we go around the system with and participate in parades and centennials and various civic events. The truck over there on the right is the hauler for the mini train. How we get it from one place to another. That little train was built in UP shops in the mid-50s, and we've updated it since then. There's 2 cars back there that you can't see that we carry kids, give them little rides around the block, stuff like that. It's got horns and bells and whistles and lights and everything a real locomotive has. We've updated it a little bit. It's got heat and air conditioning and stereo inside there now. Make it nice for the driver. There's some of the volunteer souvenir crew. Lynn Nystrom back there, his wife Mary, and Penny Braunschweig. Her husband is one of our firemen, Rick Braunschweig. We found if you bring the wives with them, the wives are a lot happier because they can keep an eye on their husbands. And the husbands may not be happy, but they got no choice. That's a crew picture in '93 when the 3985 was 50 years old. I think out of that picture there are 2 guys left on the crew. The rest are either retired or passed away. In some cases, both. And this is the crew this year. Obviously, there's more of us. I didn't mean it that way. I mean, there's more people. And some of us have put on a few pounds too. So there is more of us, I guess you could say. I got 4 guys in uniform there, and I've got the mechanical crew, the guys in the hard hats, and then the mini train crew standing down there on the ground without the hard hats, but they look like the rest of us. Here again, that's how many people it takes to put this on successfully. If you have guys like this with their kind of talent and dedication, then it makes it look easy. So like when we pulled up here in 2006 and stopped and acted like we knew what we were doing, we were really acting. We really knew what we were doing. But that's how we get to make these trips. These are some of the crew members, past and present. Here's a couple more pictures of Lynn. He never did adapt to the digital camera age. Never did care for that stuff, highfalutin stuff. He always gave Jim a lot of trouble over computers and things like that.
He took some mighty good pictures, though.
Yes, he did. Bob Krieger, of course, Bob retired in 2002, I believe. He's the general manager of Union Pacific Historical Society now. So he's still around, he's just not on the crew anymore. He was my second engineer when we were out on the road. Roger Miley is retired, lives in Pueblo. He was an engineer for a couple of years. Looks the part too, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
There's Ed. We found out that there's no limit to the things he can do. Ed's got a lot more experience than some of us would realize. He worked with the Canadian Pacific Steam Crew. He's worked with the Santa Fe Steam Crew out in San Bernardino, and with a couple of others around the country. He's worked with McCormick on the Southern Pacific engine, and several others. So he has a wealth of experience. There's Reed. That's another one of those events I spoke of earlier with the veterans. I forget which little town in Kansas that was, but they
Peabody,
obviously...
I think.
Which one?
Peabody.
Okay. They obviously turned out. There's Rick and Penny. Mary and Kim Coker. Kim is the wife of our current conductor, Jim Coker. There he is. He picked up where Reed left off. I don't know who those two are, but I want to find out. And me in an antique car. Those things seem to seek me out. I get my picture taken around antique cars all the time. So we have 2 old things in one picture. In this case, we got 3 because we got the engine in the background. And I know how to hold up a pole. This was my last day of the last trip that I ran in November. That's down at Sidney, Nebraska. It's my wife and my grandson there next to me. And you can just barely see the top of my son's head back there. Had the whole family out for that. There's the gang again. Everybody wonders, do we live on the train or how do we take care of ourselves when we're out on the road? Sometimes we're out for more than a month at a time. We do not live on the train. We have hotels each night and we go to restaurants each night. Obviously, we've been going to restaurants pretty often. You can tell when we've been on the road for a while, we all come back a little bit bigger. three of the mechanical guys. I think Roger's in that picture as well. They're doing what we call pushing dope. They're greasing the rods. They use these grease sticks that we call dope sticks that run through an air-powered grease gun. And so those are our dope pushers on the crew. These two guys, neither one of them are employees or regular crew members, but I got Doyle McCormick and Jack Wheelahan there. Sometimes when I need extra help, I can always call on either one of them. Doyle is a retired Union Pacific engineer. Jack is retired from EMD, but they both have probably more experience than all the rest of my crew put together on various steam engines and how to make these things go, how to fire them, how to run them, how to make a safe trip. That's outside the shop there at Cheyenne. You saw the inside of the roundhouse. This is the outside of the shop building. That was also renovated in 1992. That's a crew change at Gibbon Junction, Nebraska. We swap out in the middle of each day because the days get long and hot and tiresome up there. So, especially when you're down in Kansas or Nebraska or Texas or whatever in the middle of the summertime. And that also keeps everybody fully experienced. I don't think you probably remember Earl and Tina. Earl was a car foreman in North Platte. Tina still is a car foreman in North Platte. And they are husband and wife. That's coming up around the curve of Buford with 3900, and it still burned coal. You can still see the coal boards up on top of the tender. And if that had sound to it, you'd be able to hear the cinders raining down on the camera. This was April of 2010. We were headed for Texas again. There's something about us going to Texas and snow. This is just leaving Cheyenne. It was a bitterly cold morning, and of course obviously snow on the ground. When it's really, really cold, you see the steam that you can't see when it's really hot. That's down at Krieger Pond, down in Bushnell, Nebraska, and it's frozen over. That's on the way back from the Super Bowl in 2004.
Get that by the EPA.
That's the world's largest operating diesel locomotive. We have that under our care as well.
I apologize for the sound on this. I didn't have any external speakers, so. Little video from the cab. Lynn Nystrom in the cab. Ed Dickens and Rod McClure from Portola Railroad Museum.
Hawk Spring, Wyoming, which is a lot further from nowhere than Hugo is. That's up on the branch that comes off of Yoder, Wyoming, population 4, I think, and goes up to South Torrington. That was back in 1983. That was back when they used to, on a weekly basis, ran a train on that line about once a week. Now there's about 6 or 8 a day coal beans up in the Powder River Basin. How do you get fuel? Well, you call up and order a truckload, and they meet you at the end of each day and you pump it full. It holds 6,200 gallons, so a truckload will just about fill it up. That's about what you use in a day. Any questions why they got rid of these things? This is a little Chinese engine. While we were down in Council Bluffs in November, we were on display down there, and the Iowa Interstate Railroad asked if they could bring their little Chinese engine over and display it. And we said, sure, why not? It makes a nice contrast. So, everything's made in China anymore. That's just one more example. Last September, was it?
Yes,
September, we pulled the circus train to Denver from the Spear. That's, I forgot how many cars, 60 plus, I know that. But that was quite an extravaganza. We had to wait till daylight to do it so Ringling Brothers could film it. They had their helicopter out following it all over the place. They made a nice little 2 or 3 minute promotional film out of it. We had the entire circus consist, we had the elephants, the tigers, the whole schmear, all the performers and all that sort of thing. We took it down to Denver and parked it, got it there, I think about 20 minutes late. But that was because of speech making at York Street. Yeah, I don't think there is anything like this. Now that's what the 844 looks like with the cab off. That's when we did the last boiler overhaul on it, which was 1994, 1995. That's the back end of the boiler. You remember that cab shot you saw a little earlier? That's what's underneath all of that stuff in the cab.
The picture on the left is Robert A. Lee Sena. We took him down to the Milliken Centennial. He was able to ride part of the train. I think he passed away not long after this. He's a famous railroad author. The fellow with the green vest.
And on the right, that's we're bringing up another generation of rail fans. The kids really get a kick out of this stuff. The locomotive scares them to death, and then they become enthralled with it. And of course, they've never seen anything like a passenger train. So when you take them through the inside of it, they just can't believe that there's anything like that, or there ever was anything like that. That's 81 going to Sacramento, and the 3900 was burning coal in that particular instance. That was before we converted it to oil. 91 we went back with both engines. In 99 we went back with both engines. That's coming into Rock Springs, I think.
Yes.
And headed west.
Yes.
The Frontier Days train that we run every year, and we'll run it again this year. I think this is the 20th or 21st since they, 25th, somewhere along there, since they revived it back in 1992. But it's the 108th or 109th time per year that the UP has run Frontier Days train. Last time I was here, it was on this thing. This was New Year's Eve of 2006. We spent that New Year's Day 2007 plowing snow over to Oakley. As you can see, they needed us. Yeah. This year is going to be a big year for UP Steam. They're going to have 6 trips that they know of, maybe 7. Going to go across the Sunset Line, across Arizona and Mexico. They've got trips to Omaha, trips to Arkansas, and probably trips into California. They don't know yet, but they're still working on it. And that's it. If you have questions, I'll be glad to make up some answers for you. And again, thanks for the invitation. Thanks for coming down. I don't know when they put the mark light on. I know they delivered it in December of '44, and they put the years on it in February of '45. Basically, it's there all the time.
Somebody just handed me this magazine review. That's
Right, I was clean shaven and everything.
March 13th, 1981.
wished I had a lot of this picture.
Anything else? Take a picture. Thanks again.
We have a little gift for you guys. One for you, and if you'd like one of our t-shirts over on the table, they're down to just pretty small sizes. If you had a branch out.
Pretty small size.
Don't take one. Don't take one. Yeah, you guys. And thank you so much. Really appreciate it. We can't thank you enough. Really, that was fun.
Regular meeting so we can elect officers. This month got really busy for all of us and we just couldn't find a time to get together. We decided to do it today. So, nothing else? Thank you again. Yes.